Okay, talk about the IWMP release. This has been a long struggle to get to this point, but we're very glad we're here eventually. So, you want to switch to the next? Talk a little bit about the history, goals, and so on. We did the State of the Watershed back in 2005, and that was successful. And then we started working into the watershed management plan after that. Initially, we had a lot of struggle around knowing what should be in there, what we should be looking at, just how much detail should be there. So it was a bit of a struggle initially to get the thing going. But the last few years, it's been moving along more quickly. I'd like to thank the steering committee. Sharon Reedick chaired for a while, and then Tom steered eventually at the end here. A lot of work from those folks and all the steering committee members to get this thing going. So I have to thank them for the great effort there. Then back in 2010, the steering committee came up with a set of recommendations on goals, directions that they would put forward as part of the plan, and then they passed it back to the board to say, well, okay, develop this into an overall plan then. So the board and staff sat down and developed some documents with the help of Susan Abels, developed this discussion paper that we've talked about, and the workbook, and that took another 6 months or whatever, and then got that out to the stakeholders, and then back into the board again, evaluation of the responses. We did actually change some of the things. If you look at the discussion paper and now look at the plan we've presented here today, there are some differences. We listened to what people said. We made some things more clearer, more specific in terms of, they were maybe a bit vague before, so made them a bit clearer. Some things we maybe made a bit more general. People said, no, that's too specific, so we backed off a little bit. So there are some changes to the recommendations that were in the original document. They're all there, but just the wording possibly has changed a little bit from the original discussion paper back to what's being presented today. Long process to get there. We consulted with lots of folks. I don't know how many hundreds of meetings were held, but lots of people had input, so it's definitely a multi-stakeholder input piece. And we finally got to the stage of the board approved it just in May. At the board meeting in May, we got unanimous approval of the NSWA board for this document. So a long, long process, but we finally got there. So we're all very glad to get to this point. And again, the document is a input from stakeholders, and then with professional advice on how to make it move forward. And it's provided as advice to government and advice to stakeholders as a guide to how to do watershed planning in the future. So it's, we're careful how we word the document, that it's advice to government, so government hopefully will take advantage of the multi-stakeholder input and look at what's in there and try and incorporate those things into their plans as they move forward. And it's advice to stakeholders. Stakeholders can voluntarily implement some of the things we're recommending, so it gives them a kind of a field map of how to move forward with watershed planning as they move into things that they can do on the ground. We've printed, is it 1,000 or 1,500? 1,500, yes. So lots of copies, so you should all have a copy. We get lots of spares, so if you want more spares, just get hold of us and we can provide more to you. Okay, next one. So what we're doing in this document is asking folks to be aware of this plan. It's got a lot of legs in the sense that it's kind of a lot of input from a lot of different folks, and it's a consensus-based document. So we've come to some agreement as to these are the things that should happen moving forward, and it helps people to make decisions as they move forward in their own plans. We'll continue to promote watershed values and best management practices throughout the watershed and for all industries, municipalities, and so on, so that's always a given. And we'll work together with other interests to implement the concepts in the plan. So not clear yet how it's actually going to work, but we will try and work with things like the land use framework as it moves forward, and see if we can get some of the things we're promoting included in the land use planning. We're already working with water management frameworks in the industrial heartland area, participating in that process. So there's joint work going on there. We do plan to sit more with watershed stewardship groups and municipal groups and try and push some of the thinking in the plan forward through other areas. Our commitment here is to try and act as a bridging organization, so we're not actually going to be in a lot of implementing improvements on the ground. We'll be trying to do the planning piece and providing people advice as to how they should move forward in their implementation, so that municipalities, industries, agriculture, can look at the plan and see, well, these are the things that we need to be doing as we move forward. So anything we can do to get people together and try and make those things happen, we'll be trying to do. As part of the fallout of the plan, we're going to be developing implementation work plans going forward, sort of on a yearly basis. We'll have implementation work plans. We're going to try and set up working groups for each of the 5 main goals in the plan, so water quality, quantity, aquatic ecosystem health, groundwater, and then partnerships. We'll set up working groups to try and work on specific projects as we move forward. So we can't do everything at once. We'll be picking priority projects in each area, and we'll be trying to work through development of water quality objectives or stewardship partnerships to get things moving so that each piece can progress into the future here. We will continue to undertake technical studies to try and fill gaps. We look at where are the gaps, what can we do to make sure that some of these things are addressed. We'll try and get contracts to provide that technical information. And we'll continue to provide information and advice and assistance to municipalities, industry, agriculture to help implement the things we're suggesting in the plan. Okay, so that's really high level. I think some of the things we want to make clear, I think, is that we see going forward as GOA still has a major role in things going forward. The GOA has a big role in policy, regulations, water management frameworks. So whatever we do, we're going to have to work with government going forward. And we still see the government role as being fairly strong. And we've certainly identified in the IWMP areas where we think it's government's responsibility to do some of these things moving forward and to make that process go forward. So we can do certain things voluntarily and with stakeholder input, but it still needs government support for a lot of these things to move some stuff forward. That's all I need to say there. I think you need to take time to read the document if you haven't read it. There's a lot of stuff in there. You probably need a bit of time to have deep reflection on what some of these things mean. The board certainly has gone through it lots of times. We would appreciate feedback on the plan, obviously, and as we move forward into developing the working groups and so on, we'll get continued feedback on the plan. We realize it's fairly high level. We wanted to try and encompass the whole watershed issue, everything that might be in there, and try and make sure they were addressed at some point in the whole plan. And then in the working groups, as we move forward, we'll then get into more detailed implementation of more specific projects, so that getting down closer to the ground and seeing things actually get more implemented on the ground. So we do admit it's fairly high level, but we do think it covers the wide aspect of what needs to be done in watershed. We will formally transmit it to government, certainly, with a formal letter of saying, here's the plan, we hope you endorse it, or at least take some pieces of it and move them forward. And we'll be sending it to all stakeholders that have participated and say, here's the plan, we hope that you can voluntarily look at this and try and move some of these things forward as well. So that'll happen in the next 2 weeks, I think. We have all the copies, so we're just ready to go with sending that out. Okay, and the working groups we'll be looking at developing over the summer. I think probably in the fall we hope to try and set up some initial working groups to get people involved and start scoping out the work for moving some of those things forward. What else is happening? we are working on the governance piece as well, and again, we have to come up with some proposals for governance probably by late fall, and we would bring any revisions to the bylaws in terms of reference for the staff and the board back to the membership for approval, probably by the end of the year sometime. Okay. Any other? Good. So catch hold of any of us at any time if there's any comments or questions on the plan. Certainly get hold of us, and we can go from there. Okay. Okay, I'd like to just move on to the Atlas release. Now there's an Atlas floating around somewhere. There's one. So this has been, I don't know, what, 3-4 years in the making, this one. We started off, I think Bill Fox had the original idea, so kudos to Bill. Thanks, Bill. And Bill has supported it. We got a lot of support from Canvas and Ag Canada there, provided a lot of the base information. So again, many much thanks to Canvas. Graham did a whole lot of the work getting a lot of it pushed together initially, so again, Graham was the others in the staff have all participated in finalizing the document and getting it to the point you see today. So it took a while, but we actually have it in place now. I think there's about 25 major maps in here, so it covers a lot of things from population, land use, surface water licenses. It's a very, very useful information piece, a nice coffee table document to read around. But we're expecting to transmit it widely through all our contacts, and we're selling it for $35. We're hoping to fundraise a little bit and cover our costs because of a little expense in getting it all put together here. So I've just gone through Bill there. The goal is to improve awareness and understanding. I think it does a really good job of that, and is a good basis for adding going forward. I think at the last WPAG meeting, I think Brian was there, the government is looking at some GIS mapping that people could add additional layers to for something like this. So there's more active information going forward that we could add to this basis here. Oops. There we go. So again, thank Bill. Bill supported the initial work with some contributions from Alberta, so thanks for Bill again. Graham and Candice did a lot of work, as I say, and then recent staff and board input coordinated through Melissa here. So lots of people involved, and we've got this document here. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at it. It's a really good document. We do have about 20-30 copies here, so if people want to buy one right away today, they can pay Billy over here, and we can give you a copy right away. If you want to order some copies, then again, just let Billy know, and we can supply copies a little later to the, we've already had people coming up and saying they want 10 copies, 5 copies, 10, so I think we'll get a good start on it as we go forward. We will give away some copies to some folks, board members will get a copy. Some of the supporters of the Atlas will get copies. I think the speakers today are maybe going to get copies as well, I think so. And then we'll take a look at pushing it out a little more widely, maybe to public libraries and things, so that it's more available, on a wider basis. Okay, is that the last one? That's the last one, yes. Okay, so any comments on the Atlas? Did anyone want to? Graham, you want to say how much hard work it was? It worked well. So there's a fair bit of text to go with it. It's meant to be information, not really advocacy as such, but just showing how things fit into the overall big picture and how each of these things are important as we move forward.
Just one comment. The lady by the name of Gwen Edge.
A lady by the name of Gwen Edge, who lives just outside Spruce Grove. She has designed all the publications that you've seen today, starting with the original discussion paper for IWMP, for Vermilion, the final IWMP plan, and the Atlas. So I just wanted to make sure we said nice thing about Gwen, she's been really, really great to work with, and it was printed by elite printers who have also been excellent and very quick and very professional.
I do have to say they arrived at our office yesterday afternoon, so it just did. Anyway, it's here, so I encourage everyone to get an atlas and get a cup of coffee and sit and read through it.